Good morning everyone. Hi, welcome back. So it's been a rather cold week so far, shock, and snow and all the rest of it, so that really doesn't help me with my hands and feet and general dislike of the cold. So I've been staying indoors. So there's a few things that I can be getting on with. So the first job of the day is I'm doing a few more pea shoots. Now I don't bother buying the proper peas from the nursery at like £2 a packet or whatever. I just use these. They're 55p. They're basically dried mushy peas. I've done it with the half and I found that the whole ones do a lot better. The halves that are, you know, the pea is cracked, they don't really get away so well. Then they just kind of go that furry kind of mold and they don't work as well. I've found that these bigger peas are pretty darn good with germination. They don't really cause you any aggro. So if you're desperate for some fresh greens and that kind of taste of spring, even though we're not there yet, I highly recommend buying a pack of these or whatever you can get on the shelf, and giving them a go, because I'm very happy with how they've gotten away. It's taken 25 days ish, and so if you say 4 weeks, and you could be picking, which I think is fantastic. So yes, and then I've actually looked online at various pea shoot recipes, and there's so many. There's you can obviously you can stir fry them, but apparently they will, like spinach, they'll go to nothing. So you have to be very careful. You can add them as the last ingredient to pasta. You can make a pesto. You can do all sorts. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be having an experiment, and for that I need more pea shoots. I do them quite thick because they don't need space. Like if you were growing them for a mature plant, they obviously need their spacing, but with this, quite frankly, you're growing them to about, I don't know, a few inches high, so they really don't need root space, you know. So you can pack them in and get quite, that's to keep them dry in the packet, isn't it, that one? So you can pack them in quite closely. So yeah, I think that'll do. Basically what I want from these two pots is kind of a big mass of pea shoots, that I can just then come with the scissors and get quite a lot out of this tiny little pot. And this compost that I'm using is actually reused compost. Now I've emptied the tubs that I was growing the rocket, the spinach, the salad, you know. Purslane failed, unfortunately, so that's gone as well. And so this is it. I'm just going to top it up with this. This was the rocket tub, and I mean maybe it failed is because they're quite moist. But the peas were like that. Peas are very sturdy. They're a bit like a broad bean. Their roots are really quite substantial. So there we are. A bit of root. No, we don't need that. Don't need that. And that's all I'm going to do. And then that's just going to go on the kitchen windowsill. And I wait in anticipation. And I reckon in about a week or so's time, yeah, maybe even in a week, I should have the starts of the pea shoots. Another really important job, vital job that we can all do, is to look after the wildlife birds in our gardens. Another job that I can be getting on with today is transplanting my Greyhound cabbages before they get a little too leggy, unlike the Kales, unfortunately. As you can see, oh dear, never mind, eh? They've been left a bit too long. And they're quite fragile at this point. So all you have to do is make a nice big sort of hole, just pushing the compost to one side. And then you're going to go, oh, sorry, you can't really see, can you? There we go. Just going to go up and under. And by the leaf, they're very fragile at this point because they're just tiny, tiny little babies getting going. And you just have to try and loosen the soil a little bit. Ooh, Ooh, there we are. That brings them out. And then you pop them in the hole. It's okay to bury them slightly deeper. I usually try and sort of do it so that the leaves, the baby leaves, are on the top, and then gently pat around. And then once the whole tray is done, you just give it a light water, kind of like a sprinkling, really, if you can. I've got a sprinkling. No. Oh, anyway, yeah, water, one of those like with the little fine sprinklings. If you don't have a watering can that has got the fine sprinkles on, then actually if you get just a plastic bottle with the plastic top lid, you can actually like hammer a few holes into that, and then it's, as you press gently on it, it'll squirt it out, and that also gives a gentle sort of spritzing. And then you just leave them in the nice warm sunny, if you can, place. I'm now moving on to the kale. Oh dear. And obviously these are a little bit further along, so I just wanted to show you something. Now, precious. So, if you can see, these two sort of round kind of leaves, they are they're the baby leaves. They're the first ones that they show. And as you can see, it started to produce its first true leaves. If you have seedlings that are like this, it's better to pick them by the baby leaves, because the idea of these is just to get the seedling going. Once they have got their first set of true leaves or two, they will start to think about getting rid of these, because it's done the job for the seedling. So if you are going to damage a leaf, it's better to damage one of these these baby ones, because it's going to shed it very, very early in its life as a plant. So that's what you would pick it up with. So that's the chard, the kale and the cabbages all potted on for today. And I think they were all sown on the 2nd of January. And again, they're not sown for mature plants. They're sown so that I can get first pickings of some young, fresh leaves. If you wanted to sow for mature plants, strong plants, way too early. But this will get me first pickings, and a little pick from each of them. If you potter out into the garden, we'll have some nice suppers out of that. Good morning. It's 6 o'clock a.m. and I woke about an hour ago, and I was shivering in my bed. Can you believe? Normally you get in a cocoon and you're cozy warm, but not today. So I've moved downstairs. I'm on the sofa and I'm in front of my lovely fire, getting warm. hope you're all doing okay, wherever you are, and staying warm too. Well, it's very chilly. Too cold for me. So I've just been to look at the broad beans. They seem to have fared okay through the worst of the weather. There's a few bent over, but none are snapped. So fingers crossed. They're looking quite healthy, really, for saying what they've just been through. So thank you for watching anyway, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.